Today we're driving the Infiniti QX55. This is a new crossover from Infiniti for the 22 model year. It's basically an Infiniti QX50 with the back of the roof chopped off. It is a coupe-like crossover like the BMW X4. It's powered by a 2-liter variable compression turbocharged engine. It has a continuously variable transmission. Let's show you what it looks like inside and out. We'll walk you around this new QX55, take it for a drive, and we'll do a Bose Performance Series sound system test at the end of the video. We have large 20-inch wheels. Unfortunately, they're wrapped in run-flat tires, so the ride quality isn't the best, but this rear end looks pretty sharp. I like these rear taillights, very wing-like, but the coupe-like roof, I think, looks pretty good in this SUV. It impedes upon headroom just a little bit, as you would expect. I'm 5'10", and I think if you're getting close to 6 foot, your head would be rubbing on the roof. Getting in and out is a little bit more difficult than I'm sure it is in the QX50, but otherwise back here, I've got a lot of legroom. I've got a lot of space side to side. Aside from the reduced headroom, this is a very comfortable back seat. We've got an armrest, a couple of cup holders, a USB port down here, and look at this front seat design. Very sharp, very sleek, especially with these contrasting white and black leather trim pieces. We've got a sunroof, 2 infotainment screens, one for Apple CarPlay and your map, and the other for pretty much everything else. We still have some physical controls and buttons in this QX55, which is nice. Nissan and Infiniti always do a nice job with that. Let's show you guys in the rear hatch area. There's kind of a hidden button to open this rear hatch. It's right in the middle of the Infiniti logo. Kind of cool. A little bit of an Easter egg for those who know. Pretty spacious back here still. You're losing a little bit of height, but not terrible. You've got a little bit of storage underneath. Unfortunately, no spare tire. All that area is taken up by the Bose Performance Series subwoofer and looks like the amp. You can fold down the rear seats pretty easily with a pull of this lever. They fold pretty much flat, making for quite a bit of cargo room. You can also adjust the angle of the backrest with this lever down here, and you get pretty far reclined in the back seats. So, nice side profile, pretty good looking rear end, and the front end is the same story. Nice and bold, classic Infiniti grille design. They've stuck with this shape for quite a while. Underneath the hood, here's this 2-liter variable compression turbocharged engine. It gets 22 miles to the gallon in the city, 28 on the highway for about a 25 mpg combined rating. Not the most fuel efficient, but considering this is a larger all-wheel drive crossover, I guess it seems about right. Probably the most appealing thing about this QX55 is just how it looks. It's a classic Infiniti design, has really nice proportions, good-looking headlights, good-looking taillights. The wheels look appropriately sized for the rest of the vehicle, and I gotta say, I don't hate the look of this coupe-like roof. Dual exhaust tips, a nice Infiniti logo along the back. I'll hop on the front seat and show you guys what that looks like. We have a couple very comfortable, very soft and plush leather seats up here, heated and cooled. Got all our climate control buttons to the left here and some more controls to the right. Volume knobs, a tune button. This shifter's a little bit weird, takes some getting used to, but after a little while you have to push a little button at the front of it to engage it into gear. You've got a park button. We've got a couple different drive modes to select: personal, sport, standard, and eco. They pretty much just change throttle response, and that's about it. We have standard Apple CarPlay and Android Auto compatibility. You can plug it in right there. You've got a couple more spaces to store things, a couple smaller cup holders in there, and a nicely sized center console. We have paddle shifters behind the wheel, so you can kind of simulate shifts with your continuously variable transmission. A nice layout for these buttons on the steering wheel, and we have a center digital gauge cluster that shows us a few pieces of information, like your music, your navigation, directions, your trip. Fuel economy hasn't been that impressive this week, and of course, your Proassist, which is the only option on this QX55. Pricing on this is a little over $53,000. I'll put some more detailed pricing info in the description. We have auto up-down windows on all 4 corners, 2 memory seat settings, and what I think makes for a pretty good looking interior. I really like the stitching on the top of the dash, a very sharp line, beautiful creases, nice contrasting leather colors here, Not a lot of gloss black plastic down here, though this has gotten a little bit grungy this week. These two screens are a little bit interesting. One is matte, one is gloss. They seem like an afterthought, though they've been an afterthought for a long time now. Infiniti's been running this dual screen setup for quite a while. Kind of an interesting thing, if you don't have Apple CarPlay plugged in, you just get two maps on this top screen, and they show you just two maps, two things. This infotainment is pretty straightforward. You've got a quick selection button for Apple CarPlay here, and then you can go and see some information. This is what the reverse camera looks like. It is probably one of the least impressive reverse cameras on sale today. Not that high res, kind of dark, pretty grainy, and difficult to see what's around you. Good enough to see what's directly behind you, but if you're trying to look for cars or traffic coming in your blind spots when you're pulling out of a parking space, it makes it a little bit difficult. At least you get a nice 360 cam. All right, let's take this QX55 for a drive and see what it's like on the road. This having a continuously variable transmission, it's a pretty smooth driving experience. Where it gets a little bit choppy is with the ride quality, and I chalk part of that up to the fact that this has run flat tires. I've never been a huge fan of run flats on cars, and that's the same story here. I think with a better, different tire, this would ride a lot smoother and be a little bit more luxurious. As it is, you get some harsher impacts, a little bit more NVH transmitted into the cabin, noise, vibration, harshness, for those who don't like acronyms, and you know, it's okay. This thing drives pretty well. It feels like a luxury car. There's some cars that drive better, there's some cars that drive worse for this price point. This QX55 has 268 horsepower, 280 pound-feet of torque, and it goes a pretty long way. This feels quite quick for what it is. For having a 2-liter, it has kind of a growly, throaty sound to it. You hear a little bit of a turbo whistle on the front end. I think there's plenty of power here for what you need in your around $50,000 crossover. Secondary ride over larger undulations and bumps is actually pretty well controlled and pretty comfortable. It's just those rougher areas of pavement where you start to get a little bit more cabin intrusion and harshness than I would like, especially at lower speeds in the city. We have a pretty nice radar-guided cruise control system in this QX55. You can skip 5-mile-an-hour increments by holding up and down on the up-down button on the steering wheel. It does not have a lane centering assist system like some of the other Nissan products do. It does have lane keep assist, but it just kind of beeps when you steer out of your lane. I've turned that off this week. Radar cruise control, though, seems to work pretty well. You've got 3 different following distance settings, and all week it's worked pretty nicely for highway cruising. The brake pedal feels nice and progressive, and overall I'm finding this a pretty easy car to drive smoothly. Sometimes you get a little bit of a shove from the turbo with this variable compression engine. It can be a little bit difficult to smoothly accelerate out of a corner, but for the most part, it's okay. Handling. Let's put it into sport mode here just for fun. We get a little bit of a downshift from the CVT. It'll keep the revs over 2,000 RPM. Lots of understeer. These run flat tires are not that happy. But again, good amounts of power. Engine sounds kind of funky. There's a little bit of a piped-in sound there I can hear from the speakers, or maybe from like a sound tube inside the engine bay. But it is what it is. 70 miles an hour on the highway, not a lot of wind noise, very comfortable seats. This would be a nice highway cruiser. Driving position feels pretty appropriate for a crossover. I'm lifted up, I'm raised up a little bit. Lots of adjustability from the seat. And it keeps you pretty well supported around the corners. This is just a normal car that I think will appeal to a lot of people who want something a little bit more stylish. They appreciate a nice interior, good materials, nice fit and finish. And that's exactly what this QX55 delivers on and does well at. As far as features and tech go, this QX55 is feeling a little bit dated. This is definitely last generation Infiniti user interface and technology here. But for the most part, it drives well enough. The CVT is a little bit of a letdown, but not as much of a letdown as the run flat tires are in terms of performance. They're just a little bit noisier and don't quite perform as well as a normal tire could. It would be nice to package that Bose sound system in a slightly different location, or at least be able to allow for a spare tire in the back of this. See what our turning radius is like here. Not too bad. Let's walk you around this QX55 one more time, and then we'll go into the Bose 16-speaker Performance Series audio system test. And we'll unlock the door here. If you guys want to see more on this QX55, we've got some videos uploaded to Winding Road Magazine's YouTube channel. We'll do a POV day drive, POV night drive, all without any talking. Charlie from Daily Motor will also probably have something up on his channel. Actually, I think Chris, Substitute Topher, will be doing the review on this car. Alright, let's go into our sound test playlist and see what this Bose is like. Usually, Infiniti does a pretty good job with their Bose systems. On first impressions, nice sound system, really clear, good bass levels. Alright guys, that's it for this one. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.